Greetings. My name is Sergey Burkatovskiy, and I'm the lead designer for Wargaming.net. Over the next few episodes of this show, we will be answering questions about our game projects. In this episode, we will talk about World of Tanks.
The first question is from Denwat. There are lots of different tanks in the game. This makes it harder to find new features for each nation and branch. Don't you think that creating special perks, consumables, and equipment for each nation is a good idea?
No, we think that the wide variety of the tanks is enough to create a difference between the nations. In addition, we are trying to create tanks using real-life prototypes so that you can see all the features of the different nations in the game. So I really don't see any benefit to this idea.
There are a lot of tournaments where players are enjoying World of Tanks competitively. And as we know, there will be even more of them. Despite the fact that there are dozens of matches, the functions for cybersport are not developed very well. What are you planning to develop to make the creation of tournaments easier?
We are going to modify the different types of tournament tables, along with the calendars and the tables of final results. But we will not add these functions directly to the game's client. We are planning to develop all these functions using the web. The reason for this decision is simple. It is easier to follow events or plan something on the web so that you only need to start the client before the beginning of the match. We will add some functions to the game, of course. One of these functions will be the ability for players to spectate and comment on matches. Another function is being able to save the replays on the server. We have already added client replays, but the server replays will allow players to record the video at a higher quality and give them the ability to control the playback, as well as adding in foreshortening. Unfortunately, we will not be able to add this function very soon, but I hope you will be able to see these functions by the end of the year.
Players of different skill levels are involved with the game. You can meet real newbies, as well as the professional players in the same battle. Are you going to create a program similar to the balance system in HON or DOTA, which will balance players of the same skill level?
No, we're not going to add this kind of program. Skill is an obvious advantage, but it can be gained by practicing and training a lot.
This question is from Andrei Lyko. The developers told us about the physics and how it will change the gameplay of World of Tanks. Okay, we are looking forward to it. But after adding the physics to the game, will you develop something new, such as the destruction of maps?
We are going to add some kind of map destruction with the physics, but it will not bring global changes to the gameplay. Unfortunately, we can't make the global destruction of the maps because current technology is not able to record the changes and send the information to the 30 computers at the same moment. The power of our servers is much lower than the power of God's servers in which our universe is installed. That's why we can't make realistic gameplay. But I can say that within the next patch, we will introduce some new game modes. These are called Attack, Defense, and Meeting Engagement, and they will bring some diversity to the gameplay. We also have plans to add some major modifications like historical battles and garage battles in future patches.
This question is from Lost Archer. What do you think about complaints about the IS-8? And what about complaints about the KV-4? And Black Orca says, do you notice any of our complaints?
Well, we have spoken about these complaints a year ago. When we receive complaints by players, we will check the statistics. If we are sure that the complaints are founded on some kind of problem and that this can also be seen in the statistics, then we will make some changes. If, after checking, we are sure that complaints are based on nothing, well, we will do nothing. We work the same way for all tanks, no exceptions. So if we are sure that there are some problems with the tank's characteristics, we will buff it. And if we are sure that there are no problems, we will not buff it.
This question is from Olkij. Why are you going to delete the T-52 from the game?
We are going to delete the T-50-2 from the game because all our tanks are based on real-life prototypes, complete with drawbacks. For example, the T-34 is a pack attacker, the T-54 is the cooler pack attacker, and the German Panther is just like, I'm sitting behind the bushes and waiting for a hero, and so on. Unfortunately, there might be some situations where, due to balance, the tanks no longer resemble their real-life prototypes. The situation with the T-50-2 is a good example. In real life, it was a slow vehicle with the main task of supporting infantry. On the contrary, the T-50-2, which is in World of Tanks, looks like some kind of motorcycle with a gun. As for what will replace it, thankfully, we've got Yuri Posholok on our team. And this is the man who has about 10 meters of photocopy from the archives. I mean that this is the total height of all the piles. And he has found a tank which is similar to the T-50-2. This tank was created in 1943 and was equipped like the T-50-2. So the design will change, but the gameplay will be the same as the current T-50-2.
After researching most of the tanks, or even all of them, the game might become a bit boring for the players. They finished the long haul to get all the tanks, but they don't want to join clan, so they are not playing on the global map. How can you entertain such players?
When we were creating this game, we thought that if you are bored with grinding to some kind of tank, or you've already finished it, you can just join a battle and own the noobs. For example, the famous Victor Kiesley is playing in this way by simply joining and owning. He is a member of a clan, but the Wargaming clan is not allowed to fight on the global map, so you can just relax and own somebody. However, the future game mode called Historical Battles is similar to the global map but without any obligations. If you want to fight on the global map, you need to be online 24/7, whereas you can just spend a free evening in this new game mode. And I have some advice for you. Do not start thinking that the game is some kind of work. If you want to own, just go and own. If you don't want to own, just relax a bit.
Should we expect another premium Tier 8 medium tank?
Of course you should. One of those premium medium tanks will be an American Super Pershing. You will be able to see this tank in the next patch. This is the modification of the American tank M26 Pershing, upon which some armor that was taken from a captured Panther was welded on. It is also equipped with a great gun and nice weight compensators on the turret. The vehicle is very powerful, and I think that players will love it.
We already know that you are planning to add the Japanese tree and the British tree, but can you clarify some details about the Team of Europe and the Chinese tree?
There were some serious problems with the Chinese tree of tanks. This is because despite the fact that China has one of the highest levels of modern-day tank building, their tank industry was only created after World War II. The first project of their industry was a copy of the Soviet tank T-34-85 under the name of Type 58. So you can see that we can easily create the part of the tree that starts from Tier 6. But we've got problems, real problems with the beginning of this tree. There are imported vehicles, trophy cars or Lend-Lease tanks in China during World War II, but not many home tanks. We have not created the whole tree yet, so we can't even describe this nation in our game. As for Team Europe, we've got some problems with that as well. But this problem is different. There is a wide variety of vehicles that were built in different countries, and we're traveling from one country to another. For example, the Czechs built a tank and then gave it to the Swedes, and then a German gave this tank to the Hungarians and they made some different tanks based on this one. After this, the Hungarian tank was given to the Czechs, and they built some new tanks using this vehicle. It is such a labyrinth that it makes it very hard to create a normal tree. The lack of tanks is not the problem. The problem is in their complex family relationship. At present, we only have a small amount of information about this, so we can't describe and publish the tree.
You have published 3 photos of turrets from Japanese vehicles on the forum, and you asked players to describe these turrets. Did you find anything interesting, and what is your progress in studying Japanese tanks? And what have you done with the Japanese tree so far?